The secret hotel getaway was a huge mistake. Most affairs happen in secret. Hidden messages, secret meetings, excuses, lies. According to one woman, her affair was different, not because it was more romantic, because it was somehow even more reckless. Her married boyfriend invited her to spend a weekend at a luxury hotel. That part wasn't unusual. The unusual part was that his wife would be there too, in the room next door. According to the woman, she thought it sounded exciting, romantic even. A secret getaway where nobody would ever know. But the closer the weekend got, the more nervous she became, because she wasn't worried about getting caught. She was worried about having to watch the man she loved pretending to love somebody else. And according to her, that feeling ended up changing everything. According to the woman telling the story, she was involved with a married man, not separated, not divorced, married, and despite knowing that, she had fallen deeply for him. At least that's how she described it. The relationship had been going on for quite some time, long enough for routines to develop, long enough for feelings to grow, and long enough for both of them to become comfortable with secrecy. According to her, he constantly reassured her, told her she was special, told her he loved her, told her she was exactly what he needed. And eventually she started believing every word. Then one day he proposed something unusual, a hotel trip. A romantic overnight stay, a chance to spend time together, at least partly, because there was a catch, a very large catch. His wife would be there too. According to the woman, she was shocked, confused, and strangely excited. Apparently, the trip had already been planned. The hotel was booked. The wife expected to attend, and rather than cancel anything, the married man decided to bring both women, just separately. The wife would stay in one room, the mistress would stay in another, and somehow he believed this was a good idea. According to the woman, she convinced herself it would be romantic. Secret meetings, hidden encounters, stolen moments together, like something from a movie. Looking back, it should have sounded ridiculous, but at the time, she was too excited to think clearly. The hotel itself was beautiful. Spa facilities, swimming pool, hot tubs, restaurants, everything you'd expect from a luxury getaway. And according to her, he paid for everything, which only made it feel more romantic, at least initially. The closer the weekend got, the more nervous she became. Not because she thought they'd be caught, because she wasn't sure how she would react seeing them together. For the first time, the wife wouldn't just be an idea, a name, a distant obstacle. She would be real. Standing right there, breathing the same air, walking the same hallways, sharing the same vacation. And according to the woman, that thought bothered her more than she expected. Still, she went. And once she arrived, everything suddenly became real. The wife checked in, the husband checked in, and the mistress checked in. All under the same roof. According to the woman, the first few hours felt surreal. Every time she saw them together, she felt uncomfortable. Not guilty, not ashamed, uncomfortable. By the way, if you enjoy relationship drama, cheating stories, and unbelievable real-life decisions, make sure to subscribe, because the weekend was about to get much more complicated. According to her, the husband started sneaking away whenever he could. Late at night, early in the morning, whenever the opportunity appeared. He claimed he was going outside for a smoke. But instead, he visited her room. Again, and again, and again. For a while, everything seemed perfect. The secret meetings worked. Nobody seemed suspicious. Nobody appeared to notice. And according to the woman, she felt closer to him than ever before. Then she finally saw his wife properly, not from a distance, not briefly, actually saw her. And according to the woman, that changed everything. According to the woman, The wife was nothing like she imagined. For months, she had built an image in her head, an image that made everything easier. Someone cold, someone distant, someone who didn't appreciate him, someone she could justify replacing. Instead, she met a real person, a woman who smiled, laughed, made conversation, and seemed perfectly normal. According to her, that wasn't what she expected. The wife was attractive too, very attractive. Tall, blonde, confident. Everything the woman felt she wasn't. And suddenly, questions started appearing. Questions she hadn't wanted to ask before. Questions she couldn't ignore now. If his wife was so wonderful, why was he risking everything? If she was so beautiful, why was he with her? According to the woman, the answers never came. Only insecurity. For the rest of the trip, she couldn't stop comparing herself. Every glance, every interaction, every moment she saw them together, it ate at her. And for the first time, the fantasy started cracking. Because seeing them together was different than hearing about them, much different. According to her, she could see their history. Years together, shared memories, comfort, familiarity, things she couldn't compete with, things she couldn't replace. The husband kept sneaking away, kept reassuring her, kept telling her she was special, but now those words felt different, less convincing, less magical, because she'd finally seen the other side of the story, and according to her, it ruined part of the weekend. Not all of it, but enough. The excitement faded. The reality remained. When the trip ended, she drove home feeling confused. Not happy, not devastated, confused. The entire trip had been everything she'd wanted, and somehow not enough. According to her, she couldn't stop thinking about his wife, couldn't stop comparing herself, couldn't stop wondering. And that question followed her home. Days passed, then weeks. The husband continued texting, continued calling, continued saying all the right things. But something had changed. The woman wanted more. Not stolen moments, not secret meetings, not hidden hotel rooms. More. She wanted reassurance. She wanted certainty. She wanted to know where she stood. And according to her, that was when the real problems began. Because every affair survives on fantasy. The fantasy that someday everything will work out. The fantasy that someday you'll be chosen. The fantasy that you're different. The hotel trip was supposed to strengthen those fantasies. Instead, it weakened them. For the first time, she had seen reality. And reality wasn't nearly as romantic. Looking back, the most important thing that happened that weekend wasn't the secret meetings. It wasn't the stolen time together. It wasn't sneaking through hotel hallways. It wasn't sharing a hot tub. It wasn't any of the things she thought she'd remember. It was seeing his wife. Because for the first time, the wife stopped being a villain in someone else's story. She became a real person. And according to the woman, that single realization stayed with her long after the hotel trip ended. The weekend had been sold as a romantic getaway. Instead, it became the first crack in a fantasy that had been holding everything together. And once that crack appeared, it never fully disappeared. For weeks afterward, she kept replaying the trip in her head. Not the secret moments, not the late-night visits, not the stolen kisses. The wife. For some reason, that was the part she couldn't forget. According to her, she had spent so long imagining who this woman was. Building stories, making assumptions, creating a version of reality that made everything easier. Then the hotel trip happened, and reality showed up. The wife wasn't some distant obstacle. She wasn't a character. She wasn't an inconvenience. She was a real person, a person who laughed, a person who smiled, a person who had absolutely no idea what was happening around her. And according to the woman, that realization hit harder than she expected, Because suddenly, the situation wasn't just about her anymore. Or him. There was somebody else in the story. Somebody who trusted him. Somebody who believed they were enjoying a romantic weekend together. While he was sneaking away behind her back, for the first time, the excitement started feeling different. Less thrilling, less romantic, more complicated. And once those thoughts appeared, they refused to leave. The woman tried focusing on the good parts of the trip. The pool, the spa, the time together. But her mind kept drifting back to the wife, back to seeing them together, back to wondering what was real. Because if he could smile at his wife like that, what did his words to her really mean? If he could spend an entire weekend pretending everything was normal, what else was he pretending? According to her, those questions became impossible to ignore. And that's when the fantasy started losing its power. Not all at once, not dramatically, just little cracks, tiny doubts. Questions she never used to ask, questions she wasn't sure she wanted answered. The funny thing is that she went into that weekend hoping to feel closer to him, hoping to strengthen the relationship, hoping to feel more secure. Instead, the exact opposite happened. The trip gave her something she had never had before: perspective. And once she saw the full picture, she could never go back to seeing things the same way again. The hotel weekend was supposed to be romantic, a secret adventure, a memory she'd treasure forever. It became something else entirely. The moment she realized that fantasies are easy to believe until reality walks into the room. And according to the woman, that's exactly what happened. She spent months imagining the perfect future. Then one weekend showed her something far more powerful: the truth. And once you see the truth, it's very hard to look away. Because sometimes the beginning of the end doesn't start with a fight, or an argument, or getting caught. Sometimes it starts with a single uncomfortable realization, a realization that quietly follows you home. And according to the woman, that hotel weekend was the first time she truly understood that the life she wanted might never actually exist. And whether she realized it or not, that was the moment everything started to change. Sometimes the biggest mistake people make isn't getting caught. It's convincing themselves that a situation is something that it isn't. For a long time, this woman believed she was living a love story, a story where two people were meant to be together, a story where everything would eventually work out, a story where all the complications would somehow disappear. Then, one weekend changed everything, not because anyone got caught, not because there was a huge argument, not because the relationship ended, but because reality finally stepped into the picture. For the first time, she wasn't imagining the wife. She wasn't hearing about the wife. She wasn't creating a version of the wife in her head. She saw her, a real person, a real relationship, a real life that existed long before she entered the picture. And suddenly, all those fantasies became a lot harder to believe. The strange thing about reality is that it doesn't always destroy a fantasy immediately. Sometimes it just plants a seed. A question, a doubt, a feeling you can't quite shake. And once it's there, it slowly grows. Looking back, this hotel trip was supposed to bring them closer together. Instead, it became the moment she started seeing things differently. The moment she started asking questions. The moment she stopped looking at the relationship through rose-colored glasses. Whether she realized it or not, that weekend changed the way she saw everything. But what do you think? Was this trip romantic? Or was it a disaster waiting to happen from the very beginning? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy relationship drama, shocking Reddit stories, entitled people, and unbelievable real-life situations, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.